When did you realize that the person you married actually disgusted you? The moment happened on a rainy Tuesday morning when I was 8 months pregnant with our first child. I was struggling to put on my shoes, my belly making everything incredibly difficult, when I asked my husband Derek for help. He looked up from his phone, rolled his eyes dramatically, and said, "You're not disabled, Sarah. Figure it out yourself. I'm busy." That's when it hit me like a slap to the face. This wasn't the first time he'd been cruel during my pregnancy. When I had terrible morning sickness for 3 months, he complained about me being dramatic and said other women didn't make such a big deal about it. When I needed help carrying groceries from the car, he said I was using pregnancy as an excuse to be lazy and make him do everything. When I asked him to come to important doctor appointments, he said it was a waste of his time since nothing exciting ever happened anyway. But it was so much more than just the pregnancy. I started remembering other moments I'd pushed down and ignored over the years, like when my beloved grandmother died and I was crying at her funeral. He whispered that I was being too emotional and embarrassing him in front of his coworkers. Or when I finally got the promotion I'd worked toward for 2 years, and instead of celebrating with me, he spent the whole dinner talking about how my success made him look bad to his friends. I realized I'd been making pathetic excuses for him for 3 entire years of marriage. I kept telling myself he was just stressed about becoming a first-time dad, that he'd magically change once the baby came, and he felt that parental love. But sitting there on our bedroom floor, 8 months pregnant and struggling with my shoes while he scrolled through social media and ignored my basic needs, I saw him clearly for the first time. This was the man who was supposed to love, protect, and cherish me and our unborn child. Instead, he couldn't even be bothered to help his heavily pregnant wife put on her shoes without making her feel like a burden. Every single little thing about him suddenly disgusted me completely. The way he chewed with his mouth open at every meal, how he never cleaned up after himself and expected me to be his personal maid, the condescending way he talked down to waiters and store clerks like they were beneath him. The worst part was the crushing realization that I'd ignored all the obvious red flags because I was so desperately afraid of being single after 30. I'd settled for someone who saw my needs as annoying inconveniences and my feelings as dramatic weaknesses to be mocked. I spent the next month secretly planning my exit strategy. I researched divorce lawyers, found an apartment, and slowly moved my important things to my parents' house. I moved back in with them permanently 2 weeks before my due date. Derek didn't even fight for our marriage or ask me to stay. He was probably relieved to have his freedom back and not deal with a crying baby. Now my daughter Emma is 2 years old, and she's never seen her mother accept less than she deserves from anyone. She'll grow up knowing that love means kindness, respect, and partnership. Sometimes the most disgusting thing about a person isn't what they do to you. It's realizing you stayed long enough to let them do it twice.